Welcome back. Tomorrow marks a full month since the Department of Homeland Security shut down. And today, tens of thousands of TSA employees are missing their very first full paycheck. It comes after most officers only got a quarter of their normal pay 2 weeks ago. And many are struggling to afford basic necessities. A senior TSA official tells NBC News more than 300 TSA workers have quit since the start of the shutdown, and call-outs have tripled, leading to hours-long security lines at some airports during the busy spring break travel season. All of Homeland Security right now remains defunded with no end in sight as Democrats and Republicans remain at odds over how to reform ISIS tactics. Joining me now is Jay Johnson, who served as Homeland Security Secretary during the Obama administration. Secretary Johnson, thanks so much for being here. I do want to get to the DHS shutdown in just a moment, but I have to start with these two attacks that happened yesterday. The federal authorities are calling acts of terrorism. What do you make of them? Do you fear that we could see more attacks like this given the war in Iran?
I do. If I were in office now in a heightened threat environment like this, and that's what we are in, I try to be very transparent with the public about the threats we are facing. Be honest without scaring people, without overly worrying people so they hide under the mattress, but tell the public about the threats we face, tell the public about what it is the government is doing, and tell the public how they can help. If you see something, say something. Does make a difference. On top of that, you were talking with Governor Spanberger a moment ago about how this administration is diverting counterterrorism assets away. On top of that, the Department of Homeland Security, which was created for situations like this, is defunded. And so we've got to get away from coupling policy disagreements in Congress with funding. We've got to decouple those two, especially in an environment like this. 2 terrorist attacks just yesterday, almost certainly in reaction to going to war in Iran, which is a state sponsor of terrorism.
Well, Secretary Johnson, you take me to my next question, because as you say, this DHS shutdown is ongoing. At what point does it become a national security issue?
I think it's a national security issue right now. As you noted, TSA workers are not being paid. These are people who live paycheck to paycheck. Traditionally, morale at TSA is low. And now they're being forced to go to work without pay. And how many sectors of American society are people told you have to go to work, but we're not paying you? And these are, the public and the press are noting the long lines. But the way I see it, this is also compromising security. These are people that we expect look for bombs on aircraft that we and our families are about to board. And they're not being funded to do this very, very important work.
Well, and to that point, I mean, TSA agents, again, missing their first full paycheck today. How, broadly speaking, could it impact travel in this country? You mentioned the long lines and the fact that these are folks who are responsible for the security of air travel.
It impacts travel. It's longer lines, but it also impacts aviation security. I keep emphasizing that. This is about security. And DHS is aviation security, port security, maritime security, cyber security, a whole range of things that are not being funded right now at this very crucial moment. TSA is the agency of our government that interacts most with the American public.
How do you see this ending, Secretary Johnson?
I see, insofar as the war in Iran, I see mission creep. When the president initially announced what we were doing, he made it seem as if it's sort of one and done. Airstrikes, decapitate the government, and then it's over to you, the people of Iran. And more, we see that we're deploying assets to the region for, potential mines in the Strait of Hormuz. We talked earlier about the possibility of some sort of expeditionary force. I see mission creep. And so very often we have to relearn the lessons of the past. It is much, much easier to start a war than it is to end one. And I don't know what the end game looks like here.
Well, let me ask you, finally, the person who President Trump has picked to take over DHS, Senator Mark Wayne Mullen of Oklahoma. What do you make of that pick? And given that you held that job, what advice would you have for anyone taking over that role at this moment when the country is at war and facing these potential threats here at home?
DHS has a lot of different missions, a lot of different components, 22 components and agencies. The immigration mission does overwhelm the job. Secretaries don't like to admit that, but it does overwhelm the job. But you've got to stay focused on all the other agencies. The Secret Service needs a lot of oversight. Cybersecurity needs a lot of oversight. TSA needs a lot of oversight. And FEMA needs a lot of oversight. And so I hope Senator Mullen comes to the job. I'm almost certain he'll be confirmed by his colleagues. I hope he comes to the job with his eye on all of those very, very important missions.
Secretary Jeh Johnson, we always appreciate your insights. Thank you so very much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.